the only person's show that can give The View a run for the money in terms of just being hosted by a genuinely dumb person who seems incapable of basic human thought is Joy Reid at MSNBC. All right? Joy Reid is up there with our good friend Morning Joe, who has a sit-down. Did you see? I don't know if they've aired it. He has a long sit-down with Joe Biden. Our good friend Morning Joe Scarborough, who represents the beautiful area of the Panhandle and consistently talks. Remember Morning Joe talking about how he got his 6th booster shot, but the reason why he was sick with COVID was because he forgot to get his 7th booster shot? That's Morning Joe. Joy Reid says the guy who shot the kid in Kansas City, he did it because of Fox News. Let's play cut 7.
I mean, the reality is their business model is to continue to lie about democracy, to stoke hate, and even violent rage. I mean, we are seeing January 6th defendants say they were radicalized by Fox News. You're seeing them constantly touting Black Lives Matter as some evil entity. And then voila, you have people who think they ought to shoot Black Lives Matter people or shoot at them. You have young black man go to a door and someone who we don't know what he watches on TV, but, you know, it wouldn't shock me if he was watching a lot of black people are violent thugs, and if the one comes to my door, I'm going to kill him.
She knows nothing about this guy.
How he voted, he could be a huge Democrat, right? This guy, we have the 85-year-old, we have no idea about him at all.
It's just amazing, though. That's the kind of thing where if you're not Joy Reid at MSNBC, if you went on TV and you said that and you weren't a protected individual, people would say this is not somebody who should ever be on air analyzing anything because it's so reckless. I mean, she's not only coming to this declaration that the guy is some kind of a racist, which there's still to this point, what is the evidence that he's a racist?
He's white and the guy's black. That's the evidence that he's racist.
So that's one point. But then also to say he maybe was watching Fox News and was radicalized. Like, think about with far more evidence. If I could just sit here and totally extrapolate and come up with theories and place blame, I could say, you know what happened in Nashville? It's actually the fault of, and pick my least favorite politician and do some contortion about how they said something about Tennessee, the bill, trans rights, and, you know, voila, all of a sudden I've created this political weapon against someone who has nothing to do with the thing that actually happened. That's how they did. That is standard operating procedure for the pundits at MSNBC. And by the way, I don't even know what they do at CNN anymore. Like, that's always a surprise to me.
If this 16-year-old kid is white, exact same thing happens. 85-year-old, 9:50 at night, he's knocking on the door. 85-year-old comes out, fires 2 shots at him. Is it ever a story? Have we ever heard about this story at all? To say nothing of $3 million being raised on GoFundMe. Exact same thing happens to a white kid. Now, MSNBC would say, well, this would never happen to a white kid. Buck, I was in a car that got shot twice for rolling a house. I didn't even go into the yard of the guy who fired 2 shots into the car. White kid. White guy was driving the car that we were driving away in. The girl, the poor 20-year-old, literally just got murdered for driving up to the wrong house. So this kind of thing can happen to a white person all the time. If that happens in Kansas City to a white kid, 16-year-old, exact same story, none of us ever hear about it. Not one word is ever talked about it on a national level.
You'll remember back in 2015, and these were close to each other. I mean, I remember covering all of these in detail, but because there's video of both of these incidents. Walter Scott, people were rightly outraged. That was murder by cop, right? The cop shot the guy running away, broad daylight, as clear as can be. You know, the cop just freaked out and was, I'm going to kill this guy. And that's murder. You can't do that. Shot him in the back. And the cop went away. I think he's got 25 to life, something like that. That's what should happen in that circumstance. I still think, for me, the most egregious and obvious example of that I can think of, I'm not saying you couldn't find anything, but for a case that I remember covering that I can recall, the Daniel Shaver incident in 2016, which was honestly the most egregious, I would say, homicide by cop. The cop was charged with murder. A jury found him not guilty.
For people who have not seen that video, it's disturbing, but you can type in that guy's name and you can watch it. It's a guy on his knees.
It's in Arizona, 2016. Yeah.
Clearly unarmed, zero threat to the officer, and the officer shoots and kills him. It's all on video. By the way, producer Ali says I should explain what rolling is. Toilet papering. We had toilet, like we used to throw toilet paper in trees.
People would say they would TP the house, right? You toilet paper the house.
Yeah, we called it rolling in Nashville. That's when I was in the car that got shot twice.
When you say you're rolling in New York City, it's a little different.
Well, I think maybe that's why Allie's asking. So we were not on any alcohol or drugs. 17-year-old kids out and about, having fun, playing a prank on a classmate. 2 shots into the back of my friend's car by a neighbor.
Because I don't want to leave anybody in suspense. Rolling, at least where I grew up, referred to taking ecstasy, also known as Molly, and it was how you felt and the intoxication you felt while on ecstasy. I never took ecstasy, though, Clay, because I wanted to go to the CIA.
Oh, what a brave little boy you were.